Good morning, students. Hello and welcome everyone. Today we are going to look at the passive voice in English grammar. First, we will have look at when we use the passive voice, and then we will have a look at how to formulate passive sentences. In order to get good at using the passive voice, you need to have good mastery of all the English tenses. So, if you have any doubt about any of the tenses, I would recommend to have quick review of all the tenses and return to this one to learn with me the passive voice. By the end of this lesson, you will have a good understanding of when to use passive voice and how to formulate passive sentences. Right then, when you are ready, we can begin. The passive voice. What is the passive voice? Before we come to know passive voice, let us know what is active voice. A sentence generally begins with the performer of the action or the doer of the action, which is the subject, then the verb, and then the object or person that action is performed on. This is called an active sentence. John is subject, cleaned is verb, the room is the object. So the complete sentence will be John cleaned the room. Passive voice. Now, if we begin the sentence with the object or the person that the action is performed on, we formulate a passive sentence. For example, the room, which is object which has become the subject in this sentence, was cleaned, the verb, and John, by John, which is the subject, has become object in this sentence. So the complete sentence will be the room was cleaned by John. Note: not all verbs in English take an object. Therefore, some sentences are complete without an object. For example, John slept well. John lives far away. These type of sentences cannot be changed into passive voice because they don't have an object. Right, let's have a look at when we should use the passive voice. There are two main cases. First, when we do not know who the subject is, or it is not important who the subject is. For example, somebody cleaned the room. The passive form for this sentence will be the room was cleaned. Secondly, when it is obvious to the listener or reader who the subject is because it is the person who usually does it. For example, the cleaner cleaned the room. The passive will be the room was cleaned. So here we are obvious that the room was cleaned by the cleaner. Now, how to formulate passive voice? Let us have a look at how to formulate passive voice. There are 3 steps to formulate passive sentence. First, put the object of the verb at the beginning of the sentence. Second, conjugate the verb to be in the same tense as the active sentence. And third, put the main verb in the past participle form. For example, the postman delivers the mail. The passive form will be the mail is delivered. Let us look at another example. The decorator is painting my room. Get rid of the subject. Put the object at the beginning of your sentence. The tense is present continuous, so conjugate the verb to be in present continuous tense, that is being, and the main verb change into past participle. So the passive voice will be my room is being painted. Let us see one more example. Someone stole the money. Get rid of the subject. Put the object at the beginning, the many, and conjugate the verb to be in the simple past tense, was, and change the main verb stole into past participle form. So the passive form is the money was stolen. Note: a few notes. First, if you want to mention the subject in a passive sentence, use by. For example, my room is being painted by the decorator. Second note: if the active sentence begins with no one or nobody, the passive sentence will be negative. For example, no one turned on the light. The passive form for this sentence will be the light was not turned on. The third note: if there is preposition between the verb and subject, the preposition will remain after the verb. For example, they talked about the issue. Passive will be the issue was talked about. The passive voice of different tenses. Okay, let us have a look at the passive voice of different tenses. We have 3 columns. First column, tenses. Second, active, and the third column, passive. Simple present, I do it, which is active, and the passive for this sentence will be it is done. Simple past, I did it. Passive will be it was done. Simple future, I will do it. Passive form for this will be it will be done. Present continuous, I am doing it. Passive form for this, it is being done. Past continuous, I was doing it. It was being done. Future continuous tense, I will be doing it. The passive form for this will be it will be being done. Present perfect, I have done it. It has been done. Passive voice. Past perfect, I had done it. The passive form for this will be it had been done. Present perfect continuous tense, I have been doing it. The passive form for the present perfect continuous tense is not very common. And similarly, past perfect continuous tense and future perfect continuous tense also are not common in passive voice. So keep them in active form. The passive voice of other structures. In structures containing the infinitive, do passive will be done. For example, be going to, I'm going to do it. Passive for this will be it is going to be done. Have to, I have to do it. The passive will be it has to be done. Used to, I used to do it. The passive form for this will be it used to be done. With modal verbs can, may, etc., I can do it. The passive will be it can be done. The passive voice of other structure. In expression containing the gerund. Doing becomes being done in passive. Let us look at the example. Avoid. Active. I avoid seeing him. The passive will be he avoids being seen. Don't mind. The expression I don't mind teaching her. The passive form for this sentence will be she doesn't mind being taught. Person in object position. Alright, let us look at a person in object position. We can also formulate passive sentences with a person in the object position. For example, somebody pushed me. I was pushed. They have invited us. Passive will be we have been invited. Someone was interviewing Jane. The passive will be Jane was being interviewed. How to formulate passive voice if the sentence has two objects. You can choose either one to formulate passive sentences. For example, someone handed me a note. I was handed a note or a note was handed to me. Both are correct. Another example, they have sent us a copy. Passive form for this sentence, we have been sent a copy or a copy has been sent to us. Both sentences are correct. Common mistakes that we make when we change active to passive. Okay. It is time to look at some common mistakes. There are 4 common mistakes that we make while changing the active voice to passive voice. First one is changing the tense to a similar tense. For example, someone has reported the incidents. This is present perfect tense. It is a common mistake to say the incidents were reported. Changing it to simple past, keep it to the same tense, present perfect. So the passive form will be the incidents have been reported. Or among the future tenses, For example, the active sentence is they are going to build a church. A church is going to be building. This is wrong. The right passive voice for this sentence will be a church is going to be built. Let us look at second common mistake, that is forgetting the verb to be. For example, someone has reported the incident. You may hear, the incidents I have reported, which is wrong. The correct form will be, the incidents have been reported. Moving on to the third common mistake, that is using present participle instead of the past participle. For example, someone has reported the incident. If you say, the incidents have been reporting, it is wrong. So the correct form will be, the incidents have been reported. Let us look at another example. They are going to build a church. If you say, a church is going to be building, this is wrong. The right sentence will be, a church is going to be built. And finally, the fourth common mistake is confusing plural and singular subjects or verbs. For example, someone has reported the incidents. Here someone is singular, so the verb is has reported, whereas incidents is plural. If you say, the incidents has been reported, it is wrong. You must say, the incidents have been reported. Another example, they are going to build a church. If you say, a church are going to be built, it is wrong. You must say, a church is going to be built. It is so because a church is a singular, therefore verb also must be singular. Alright then, that is the end of the lesson on passive voice. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching this video.